Texans swarm.
Deshaun, did you turn your microphone on to do it?
Yeah, why else?
I just didn't hear you.
Oh, I'm just really loud.
Paul was so loud, I thought you said it just to yourself.
No.
That's how loud Paul was right there. So Texas Swarm, Deep Steel Blue Pilled. We're gonna hang out with Mina Kimes in this segment and Ryan Clark a little bit. Mina Kimes,
ESPN.
Paul, she might be the Texans' #1 fan right now in the media.
I think she is.
There's quite a few in the national media that are
she is most
pumping
on
on
it.
but she is all about it. We'll start here. Here is Mina Kimes talking about CJ Stroud and what she doesn't expect to see this season.
You know, there is something to the idea that rookie quarterback breaks out year 2, the league has tape on him. I get that. But I think there's a lot of other reasons why CJ Stroud could be even better this year, or his progress and development could continue, starting with this. Last season, according to FTN Fantasy, which tracks injuries, the Texans had the most injured offensive line, not in the NFL, but ever since they had started tracking them. So CJ Stroud was exceptional despite that, which, by the way, that was a huge reason why they couldn't run the ball. He was amazing despite the fact that they had no run game. Now you throw in Stephon Diggs, which should make it even easier to run the ball. And then you got another year with Bobby Slowick, their offensive coordinator. We thought he might get hired away as a head coach, but you have continuity there. So I just think there's a lot of things working in Stroud's favor that should counteract any year 2 stumbles.
Stephon Diggs. I mean Diggs. What?
I'm really ashamed of myself for that. That distracted me from the rest of what you said.
It did too. But she said they had the most injured offensive line since they started tracking injured offensive lines.
Wow.
So if the offensive line is healthier this coming season, you could understand why the regression would not come. And I also, to what Mina was saying, I just think he's going to take a step further based off of everything we saw last year. He is not one of those quarterbacks that's a gambler. I think he just makes smart decisions, whether it's avoiding sacks, avoiding interceptions, and I think that's the most important thing a quarterback can do. Obviously, you want the guy to be able to be accurate and to have the balls to make throws downfield and into tight coverage. But he is, I think, about as careful with the ball and when it comes to avoiding turnovers as it gets.
Yeah, I don't expect him to take a step back this year in any way. We've kind of roughly mentioned this before. Like, yeah, the interception numbers are probably going to go up, but whatever. And that's he threw 5 last year. It doesn't mean regression just because there's more interception numbers. I think your point
it's
too,
15 to 20. Right?
Yes, exactly. Like, and to your point about he's not a risk taker. That's sometimes that might be what I want to see a little bit more of this year from CJ. There might be, based on the quality of opponents you're going to play versus last year, there are going to be times where CJ might have to make riskier throws to try to win a football game for this team. And sometimes the results aren't always going to be good. And that's going to be okay too.
I think that is something that I think at least Paul and I talked about when CJ was going through, what was it? It was like the first 6 games of the season where he just did not throw an interception. And we kind of reached a point where we want to see him throw one. Just so we know that he's keeping the defense honest, he's being aggressive. Because you don't want him to be too risk averse and to be
Mariota,
Alex
Sam Bradford.
Smith, even Justin Herbert has a little bit of that in him, where it's always check downs. So that is something where you hope with getting Stephon Diggs and now a second year of Collins and Tank that maybe they can be a more aggressive passing offense.
The funny part about that, when Mina accidentally said that, I think she realized, this is going to be a clip, and made a
yes,
laughed
it will be a clip.
Laughed a little bit and just kept going.
She has internet brain where it's like, yep, this is going to be a thing.
I think that my other favorite part about CJ, though, with the interception, I remember talking about that as well, is and then his first interception, it didn't matter.
No, yeah.
Because they fumbled it and he got the ball back.
And got the ball right back,
So,
which is the perfect first interception to throw.
It's like, hey.
It's literally what I asked. Just throw one interception, and it's like, all right, cool, and then we'll just get the ball back.
And it's just nothing. It's like it never happened.
Yeah.
All right, here's more from a segment that Mina did with Ryan Clark talking about the Texans and CJ Stroud.
Yeah, and on the other side, like, this is a team that has more than C.J. Stroud. There's an argument to be made that at the wide receiver position, they have the best trio in ball. We watched Nico Collins become a breakout star. Tank Dell and his chemistry with C.J. Stroud, and obviously acquiring Stephon Diggs. Oh, by the way, we couldn't run the ball last year. Let's go out and acquire Joe Mixon that gives us a run game that only makes Coach Slowick even better in dialing up play action, because now people actually have to be scared that you can hand the ball off and run. And defensively, they went out and got pass rushers. Christian Harris, entering his third year, seemed to be a star late in the season. And Derek Stingley showed everybody why he was the number 3 overall pick, even in front of Sauce Gardner. This team is poised to make a bigger splash this year than they did last. And why not? And you know why they have a hard schedule? Because they won the division. Because C.J. Stroud was that good. Because DeMeco Ryans is a star. And now we're going to get to see it in prime time. I'm looking forward to seeing them play the Jets. That was C.J. Stroud's worst game, and he left that game with the concussion. He's going to have an opportunity in prime time to show the world who he is.
Best wide receiver trio or wide receiver room in the NFL?
It's up there. I think when you get to number 3, that's where the Texans probably have a leg up on just about everybody else.
Yeah. I would imagine it's the best group, because, like, while I like Cooper Kupp and Puka, it's, to your point, it's the third. Who's the third wide receiver for the Rams? Because that to me is probably the top 2 right now.
Seahawks are pretty good with Metcalf, Lockett, and Jackson Smith.
If Lockett moves to the clear third option and JSN takes that step of what everyone
Lockett,
thought he was going to be.
Don't disrespect Lockett. Like,
he's kind of a dinosaur, though.
So?
JSN should be way better than him this
year. That's disrespect.
No. Jackson Smith and Jigba is a monster.
This is somebody who's way too into fantasy football and watches Ohio State film. What are you talking about? Tyler Lockett's a much better player than
Not anymore.
Jigba.
How old do you think Tyler Lockett is?
33.
He's 31 years old.
That's pretty close.
You called him a dinosaur. He's 31 years old.
Disrespect.
He's a football dinosaur.
The disrespect.
I think it's because you've seen him without his helmet on.
Yeah, it does.
What does that mean?
I think that's what. Have you seen him without his helmet on?
No, I haven't. So now I have so many questions.
He looks like a dinosaur without the helmet on.
Hair's not doing great.
Hair's not doing great. We got one more from Mina. So we've talked about the offense. Oh, we talked about the defense too. The defense is going to be awesome this year. I hope.
Wait, hang on. It's going to be awesome?
I hope.
Okay.
The front seven will be awesome.
Yes. That's the awesome part. It's the second part that you have to hope. It's going to be awesome. You hope and we hope.
So what do we do for the podcast title here?
It's going to be awesome.
The Texas defense is going to be awesome?
We hope.
Or we hope the Texas defense is going to be awesome.
No, it's going to be awesome. I hope. Comma, I hope.
It is going to be awesome when they're sacking the quarterback. Are they going to be able to stop deep passes when they don't sack the quarterback? I hope they can.
Yeah.
It's both at the same time, Paul.
I'm going to get married by the end of the year. I hope.
Well, I mean, things happen.
Oh, by the way, you can do that pretty easily.
What, get married by the end of the year?
Yeah. Now, it's not going to be,
Sounds like a shotgun wedding.
Yeah, it's not going to be awesome. I hope.
I'll say, are you going to pay for it?
I hope. It's not going to be as awesome as you want, but you can finagle it.
The other part that he said, though, that stuck out to me, Paul, was when he talked about it being even more of a big year for the Texans. What does that mean? Is that Super Bowl? Like, they won a playoff game next year. Was it winning 2 playoff games this year? Or like when people talk about the Texans taking like that next big surprising step.
Clark sounded like he was focused on the primetime games, them actually proving that they belong. Because you take a look at last year, they did win a lot of one-score games, and they didn't really beat anybody of note outside of the Bengals before Joe Burrow was lost for the year, and then that loss sort of became win sort of became an afterthought because Burrow was out for the rest of the year.
We got one more from Mina here.
This is on her podcast with Kevin Clark.
Here she is talking about DeMeco Ryans.
Who's your 9?
DeMeco Ryans.
I thought about that. He's my 11.
I just think this dude has it. I think he is so clearly good at everything it requires to be an elite head coach, both the management side, the leader of men's side, the hiring side, the play calling side. I mean, this is a defense that was obviously terrible before he arrived. They added some talent, but immediately jumped to top 10 in success rate. His team, his defenses have such a obvious identity. They just play harder. They tackle more. They rally to the football. I find it so gratifying to watch his defenses play and to see that immediately in year one in Houston. Obviously took a big leap this year, making the playoffs. I thought was
remarkable.
9th?
She has him 9th among all NFL coaches. They were ranking their top 10 coaches, and she has him at 9. Kevin Clark thought about it, but had Shane Steichen instead, I think, in his honorable mention as far as coaches that could move into that. So she's bullish on CJ Stroud in year 2 and DeMeco Ryans in year 2 by the end of the year, establishing himself as one of the top 10 in the league.
If he's not in the top 10 by the end of the season, I would be surprised. And because we did this before.
Well, we did it before where it's just really hard to put him above people based off of what they have done. So it really is a matter of, are you basing who the top 10 coaches in the league are off of who has done the most, or are you basing it off of what you expect them to do and who you would hire? And Mina was going with who you would hire more so in that podcast in the right here. And now going forward, I think it's because last year she was burnt by putting Bill Belichick and Pete Carroll in that top 10.
Yeah.
And now she's changing the strategy a little bit on that front. So that's understandable. It's still going to be hard for him to be top 10 without a 13-win kind of year.
That's why I think he's not there yet,
and
because
trip to the AFC Championship.
When we did it, we put Harbaugh in front of him.
Jim Harbaugh,
Jim Harbaugh,
right.
who's just walking back into the NFL based on past, history. If the Chargers have an awful year, then we wouldn't default DeMeco behind him at the end of the season. So they're probably spot on. I don't know if he would be the 9th coach I would hire in the NFL. I would imagine you would find 9 offensive coaches that you would want to hire before you hire a defensive coach most of the time.
I don't know. No,
if everyone was a free agent.
No. There's enough of these dorks that are coming in. I feel like if you can find somebody that has played the game and can relate to players, that's just as important as an offensive mind. Everyone tried to do what the Rams did. And, to varying degrees, it has worked. But, for every Shane Steichen, there's a Jonathan Gannon or others, I feel like just looking for that next offensive mind shouldn't be your one-size-fits-all approach.
Do you think that then if the Texans have great success again this year, and so do the Lions, that we start to see that swing the other way, and maybe and the Antonio Pierces also of the world, the former player has some coaching experience?
Because Dan Campbell's there already. Campbell's a top 10 coach right now because, look, whatever you feel about him, maybe being a meathead or whatever, but they clearly love playing for him. And, Ben Johnson passed up on coaching opportunities elsewhere to be the offensive coordinator again. Do you think he was doing that because he likes Detroit or likes working with Jared Goff?
What's wrong with Detroit?
Nothing against Jared Goff either. But
pizza?
Think about it, though.
Yeah.
Why would you stay when you had a lot of people sniffing to see if you would potentially be the head coach?
He was viewed as the top assistant coach candidate, and really all the other candidates that you would have above him were the guys that didn't end up getting jobs. It was Carroll, Belichick, and Vrabel were kind of the guys you would have available on the coaching list from last cycle. Exactly.
A lot of us wanted him last offseason.
Yeah. We'll just keep going here because it's 51, so we'll combo the next break. We got text here from the 503. Can I short this team's stock? Go for it. I don't have an issue with people feeling that way. The hype is high. I also don't feel like that there's much to short. Like when you look at the gambling market per se, their odds are reasonable. They're not in the top 5 to win a Super Bowl this year. They're not these massive favorites to win the AFC South this year. While they're going to be good, this show has very clearly acknowledged the challenges that this team could face with their schedule. But I don't even know if there's that much to stock or to short, I would say, for this team. Because I think for the most part,
it would be missing the playoffs, I would say. That is a pretty clear, that would be failure for the Texans.
Aren't you shorting a stock if you think that it's going to absolutely crumble upon itself too? Yes. Even if they don't make the playoffs, do you see them winning less than 7 games? I don't.
No, they won't. I think they'll at worst win 9 games.
I think it's realistic to be saying 9 to 8, just given how tough the schedule is this year. And if you're really bullish, you're going to be saying more. But I don't think that anyone outside of actual haters like Silky Johnson from the Player Haters Ball and Chappelle show are picking this team to be an absolute dumpster fire to the point where you would be shorting the stock of it.
Yeah, and this team's defense has improved. It's going to be awesome. I hope.
No, I'm definitely ready to be off on Monday.
You're never living that one.
No, your I mean, the vacation's going to be awesome.
You hope.
I think I'm allergic to the cat.
You are? No.
Not severely.
Not severely.
I was just sneezing a little bit yesterday. I did wake up the other day before I got the cat feeling like I had a cold.
Oh, okay.
So I'm not totally sure.
We need a bigger sample size.
You do have a small human child in your house, so you could just be sick. You hope.
Here's the thing. I love this cat, so even if I am allergic, he's going nowhere.
You should get the Amazon allergy pills. I take this thing every single day.
That's probably what I'll get.
They're cheap and there's a ton. They work. I don't know if they kill
you
your
already
liver,
love this cat?
I hope. I do.
Wait,
He's
you do
awesome.
or you hope?
I do. I thought he was going to say I hope. So
No.
I was trying to beat him to the punch.
No, I was just wondering. You already love. I love this cat. You're ready to say it after
He's great.
a week.
It's been 2 days.
After 2 days, really? Wow.
Here's the thing. Maybe it'll get worse when he's not kitten, but he's awesome right now. Texans are minus 192 to make the playoffs. You get plus 154 for them not to make the playoffs right now. So if you want to short the stock,
that's
where you do it. Like that's the wager you make. They're only plus 105 to win the AFC South.
Drive to Lake Charles, go to LaBerge.
Yeah.
Do that.
Thanks. Then you have to do it. So their odds aren't even that. They're not that great. I mean, even a minus 192 to make the playoffs isn't like great odds, I would say. So, fade them if you want.
Shorting the stock, though, seems extreme.
Agreed.
Do it at your own risk.
Yeah.
Because this is the deep steel blue pill.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. This texter continues. The one who's going to short the stock says 8 wins max. Man. Hater.
Yeah, big time hater.